And another time, with like, I had never skied before, and so when I was a sophomore in college, Mike said, "You know what? You want to go skiing?" I said, "Sure, I'd love to go skiing." We went up to Loon Mountain, and Mike, you know, at the time, being a good, you know, he was a good football player. He's a Hall of Famer, but you know, he's also an excellent skier too. Well, he put 2 skis on me. He took me on the lift, went up to the top of the mountain, and I looked down and like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. I barely made it off the lift. I got off the lift. I looked, and Blake said, "I'll meet you at the bottom." And you know, so I think Mike in that time, in the time that I was on that slope, he passed me 6 times. I made it down my first time. But the worst time was really the first week we met. I helped the Mass Maritime, you know, again from Pennsylvania. I came up here, you know, ready and willing to. I wanted to play on team. I wanted to play football. I came to school to play football. I didn't come to school to go to school. I didn't even know what they had in Mass Maritime for degrees, to be honest with you. But you know, the first week we were in practice, and we were having our 2-day workouts, and it's, you know, and look, you know, I had met the guys from like the class of '78, and then the subsequent classes, but you know, we were going through the drills, and they were some tough guys, and amazing athletes and football players too. But you know, again with Mr. Sensitivity, right? So it was literally the first week, right? Mike and I had just met. I roomed with him. We were having a debate. I think it was 53-25. He said 53-25. And you know, there's nobody in the school. We're there doing these 2-day practices, getting our heads beat in, and I ran into a sled in one practice. Man, I hurt my back, and I was upset. You know, we were in our room, and we were getting ready for the second practice, and I bent over, and I literally couldn't get up. And here I am. I'm from Pennsylvania. I'm there to play football, and now I literally couldn't even stand up. And I'm thinking, oh my God, what am I going to do? And as I'm standing there, writhing in pain, lights on his rack, horizontal, and he says, "If you die, can I have your things?" And it's like, you jerk. I don't even know who you are, but you're definitely getting my stuff. But you know, it just points out that, you know, he's my roommate, and he's my friend. He's got 3 fantastic kids now, one of whom is going to go to Mass Maritime next year, and play on the football team, I think. He's going to kick. He's going to be the kicker for the team. And you know, it's just a fantastic memory with Mike. But I have a couple of other things with this that I just like to go over and relate some anecdotal stories about Mass Maritime. The one I had, kind of like Mike was talking about, I had some lessons of life that I learned. The one that I have 3 of them, I'll say. I have more, but I don't want to stand up here all night, even though Bo told me I could talk as long as I want. The one was verbal communication versus nonverbal communication. Okay. Well, I know that I played on the JV team here. I don't know if anybody else knows that there was a JV team. I had talked to Bill Wixon about this. And I think Bo was the coach of the team, right? But we went down, I was a freshman, and it was the worst day of my life in football. I came to Mass Maritime. I had played in high school. I had played a fullback, a tailback. I was a tight end. I punted. I did linebacker and tight end. You know, we went down to the Coast Guard Academy for our JV game, and you know, Coast Guard Academy was kind of near and dear to my heart because I was thinking I was going to go to the Coast Guard Academy before I found out about Mass Maritime Academy. But we were in a it felt like an ad hoc game. I don't even know if there was any determination of who was going to play what position. Bill Wixon had talked about the throwing Samoan from Chris Yett, and I think Chris was, you know, besides throwing the ball everywhere and anywhere, he was cursing up a storm, and you know he was having a good time on the sidelines. But as the game progressed, we got pinned down on our, like, I'll say our 4-yard line. I don't remember. But I know we were deep in our own end zone. And I was the punter. I was going to be the punter because I thought I could punt. Well, this is where the verbal and nonverbal communication come in, right? Because as I'm standing behind the formation, I'm waiting to receive this punt. I'm on the end line, and out of the corner of my eye, I see Coach Bo. And he's, now, I know you can't believe this, but he was going crazy on the sideline, right? He's got these hand motions going, and what I heard, right? What I heard was, get the ball, run left, down the sidelines, and score a touchdown. From 10 yards deep in our end zone, my end zone. Well, let me tell you, I got the ball, I ran left, and I made it to the 4-yard line. And I went over to the sidelines, and he says, "What the hell were you thinking?" And I don't know, Coach. I saw you telling me to go this way, and that's what I did. Right? So that was my memory, or that's my lesson of it's always better to go with verbal communication, right? Call time out, tell the guy what you want to do. And I think my wife could appreciate that too. She likes to verbally communicate with me. The other lesson was never give up, right? Everybody, I think everybody knows the speech of Winston Churchill, right? You know that? Never, 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 never give up. It's like the shortest speech that I've ever heard, right, from a person. Unless you were at the graduation class from 1984, when Captain Courageous was here, right, Kid Turner, and he was shit-faced. Okay? And he said, "Just do it." Okay. But yeah, that was an aside, right? So where was I? So it was never give up. So this and honestly, this really is a lesson that I had to. I'm an optimistic person in general, but it was our freshman year. It was the first game that I got to dress on the varsity, and we were somewhere in the middle of the season. We had the unbelievable team of class of '78, and they were undefeated, right? So I got to dress, and I was so thrilled that I got to dress it. We went through this game, and it was back and forth, and I honestly don't remember a whole lot of details about the game, but I remember how thrilled I was to be a part of something that I went to school to do, right? I went to school to play football. So I got into the game. I played a couple of plays, but as the clock was ticking down, you know, undefeated season, and my first game that I dressed, and we're losing. We're losing 12-0. And all I can remember is somewhere around the 2-minute mark, the momentum changed. And you know, I was on the sidelines with another, like it was Sean Burns. I don't know if you remember Sean, but Sean was like an unbelievable wrestler, all-American, incredible guy. And him and I dressed, this is our first game that we dressed together. And I remember at the end of that game, I think we kicked an extra point. We ended up winning the game with 1 minute and 40 seconds left in the game or something. We ended up winning that game. And I was jumping up and down with Sean Burns on the sidelines like a schoolgirl. And it was one of those lessons that stuck with me, and it was something that I always bring, you know, to this day, when we're at a sporting event like the Phillies. Now, don't boo me because I'm a Phillies fan, but you know, we go to the Phillies or we go to the Flyers, and we have to stay to the end of the game. I don't leave that game until the end, and I try to use that in my own life. I never give up, and I owe that a lot to the guys who were in the class of '78, and just the teammates that we played with at that time. So that was my lesson for never giving up. The third lesson, and I'll say last lesson, but the third lesson that I had was play with a purpose. Okay. Now, I think Jim had mentioned, you know, we played for the Cranberry Bowl in. That's it right there. That's the Cranberry Bowl, right? 1980, November 15th, 1980, and the playing with a purpose. I think all these, you know, all these self-help books that you read, people, you know, you need a purpose in life. Well, I thought this was brilliant. Now that I look on it in retrospect, I thought it was brilliant upon the coaches. Like I said, I'm from Pennsylvania. I don't know for nothing about cranberry bogs or scoops or anything like that, but I can tell you, and I think the coaches actually made this up. I don't even know if there really is a Cranberry Bowl. But they gave us, it was our last game of the season, the last game that I had ever played in pads for Mass Marathon. But they gave us that purpose to play with a purpose. And we ended up winning that game 10-7. And again, we went into the athletics center afterwards, and they presented the trophy, which was the scoop. Again, I don't know what this thing does, but it was the scoop. That was our rallying cry all week long that I would have when we had the scoop. We were yelling, the scoop, the scoop. Well, I got in there, and I forget who, I don't know, like who gave us the trophy. Do you remember? It was
Commodore Hendy.
Hendy, right? Yeah. And I remember running around, running around this room with the scoop held high. And, to this day, I say, if you can find a purpose in your life, that's a fantastic thing and a good memory to have and something, a good takeaway. So anyway, I'm going to get moving in and finalize these comments so we can get on with the rest of these. But so I do have some thank yous. Mass Maritime's been a huge part of my life. I don't think there's I always look in Pennsylvania, every once in a while I see a flash of Mass Maritime. Somebody drives by with MMA or, Mass Maritime on it, and it's always a fantastic thing. The people that I'd like to thank are Mike Quinn, it's a dear friend of mine, Chris Waller from class of '80. These are guys. Chris is the guy that I really got to know because I spent a lot of time, and Chris was from Milford, Connecticut, and we spent a lot of time together, and we had no choice because everybody else went home. And unless Mike was feeling sorry for me that weekend, I had to stay. But you know, I would add my wife, my kids, my daughters came up today from Pennsylvania to be here, and again the other folks that I'd like to thank are the coaches. You know, the coaching staff. They were an amazing group of guys. I really mean it. I had a whole bunch of coaches when I was in high school, grade school, and weight football, and they always treated us at school. They always treated us as if we were mature, and I can tell you we weren't. but they always treated us that way. They always treated us with respect, and they always filled it as a role model and a mentor for us, and that goes for especially Don Ruggieri, and Bill Wexon, Pete Hexter, Joe Domingo, Bo Frati, and then Mike Moran, who's passed away. Just fantastic guys, and I really appreciate the things that they did for me, and that they gave me as part of being at Mass Marathon. Last person that I wanted to thank was, it's funny, I was going to tell a story about Mark Colombo, but being in the class of 78, I'll tell you, they really inspired me to be a better football player, and to be as hard-nosed and rugged as I could be at the school. So when it comes down to it, I owe a debt of gratitude to Pat Forbes and to B.J. Davis, because when I was sent up here by my parents on a train in 1976, it took me 8 hours or 9 hours to travel on this train. And I got up here, and the first two guys that I met from Mass Marathon were Pat Forbes and B.J. Davis. I knew from the moment that I got into the car and sat on that case of beer and made that drive, an hour and a half drive back to Marathon, that I was going to Mass Marathon and screw the Coast Guard.